And now it's time to get to the health tech or MedTech startup we're featuring today on India Ideas. Hemp Street is a government-approved medical cannabis startup. In fact, Hemp Street says it's India's first research to retail venture, harnessing the power of Ayurveda and utilizing responsibly dispensed cannabis-based medication to tackle chronic ailments with a network of 60,000 Ayurvedic practitioners across the country. The relation between India and cannabis dates back 1,000 years, with the Vedas referring to cannabis as one of the 5 most sacred plants. Hemp-based products have seen exponential growth worldwide in recent years, owing to the nudge towards plant-based and sustainable industry segments. The demand is so huge that experts say India is currently one of the world's largest and most underexploited medical cannabis markets. So how is Hemp Street gearing up to develop the market and corner a big slice of the pie in India and abroad? Let's find that out. We've got Abhishek Mohan, founder and CEO of Hemp Street, to talk about it, and welcome to India's Ideas. Abhishek, first, if you could tell us what Hemp Street is all about, as there are several non-recreational uses of hemp or medical cannabis, from therapeutic to wellness, even hair and skincare and nutrition, bodybuilding and everything.
Hi Gautam, thanks for having me, and thanks for allowing us to share the story. Essentially, Hemp Street was built around finding responsibly dispensed medication to tackle mass ailments. So while there are a myriad of uses of cannabis and hemp-based products all over the world for various cosmetic and topical uses, we have chosen to go after mass ailments. So if you look at the first ailment that we went after was menstrual cramps for women. Mm-hmm. It is something that's so prevalent that 85% of women suffer from it. They miss 9 or 10 days of work because of it. Don't quote me on this, but I have read that the severe menstrual cramps could be equivalent in pain to having a heart attack. And now, given all of that, how is there no specific targeted medication provided for that ailment? So while there are a lot of kind of surface cosmetic uses for hemp and cannabis, hemp largely, we focused on 3 or 4 mass ailments that we want to tackle.
Okay. And how effective are the therapeutic formulations which have been produced so far by Hemp Street, and for what kind of ailments have they undergone clinical studies or trials as rigorous as modern pharma medicines?
That's a great question. So we are actually kicking off the first ever, I would say the world's first ever clinical trial with the Amrita School of Ayurveda and their sister organizations. It's a double-blind, randomized, controlled trial, which basically is for a proprietary formulation for menstrual cramps. Now, in cannabis, there's very little clinical trials that have happened globally, primarily because the North American market dominates cannabis and it's largely been a recreational phenomenon. Mm-hmm. So what we realized was that within Ayurveda, there were several formulations, over 200, targeted at very specific ailments. Now, instead of reinventing the wheel, putting the patient first, we wanted to draw upon this knowledge and then take it through the clinical validation process. The menstrual cramps one will be the first. We also have partnerships in Israel and soon to be announced in other countries, where we are looking at taking formulations to more advanced countries to optimize delivery mechanism, to optimize for bioavailability. And this is still very early days globally. And while there isn't a lot of clinically validated products, we intend to drive that movement.
Okay. I've got another good question for you. Now, can therapeutic hemp or medical cannabis formulations be misused or abused by addicts or those into recreational use, which raises the specter of drug trafficking? Because the flip side is the use of cannabis, which is now being espoused to counter the opioid epidemic.
Yes, absolutely. And if you've learned something from the opioid crisis, now I'll say this, opioids are not all bad. They are essential for certain extreme pain. Mm-hmm. They were dispensed wrongly. And that was the problem. Now, if you're trying to be something that they're not, responsible dispensation is everything. So before we moved a single pill through to to our doctors. And I'd like to stress upon the fact that we do not sell directly to consumers or to patients. We only sell via doctors. And all of this is wired up on the Stellar blockchain to ensure that it's fully transparent as to where the medication goes. Now, again, if you're trying to solve something, you cannot be what it was. So you have to, responsible dispensation is everything. It may result in slow growth in the beginning, but it is something that's critical. So I'm answering.
Yes, building credibility is critical.
You know, a non-responsibly dispensed medication, no matter whatever it is has the ability to end up in you know, causing a lot more harm than good.
Definitely. Hemp Street got a central government, specifically BIRAC Biotechnology Ignition Grant. I like the name because it abbreviates to BIG. Last year for working on medical cannabis solutions. I read a report that said your company planned to use the grant for patenting and commercializing transdermal delivery tech for pain management and other use cases, which is an over $7 billion industry. I gather it's worldwide. Now, what progress have you made in this particular quest?
So we are now at the stage where we are to do release studies, which should happen at the end of first quarter next year. We should commence those. And then we will move towards, you know, commercialization. So that is a process. It's for a transdermal delivery of cannabinoids. It is the uniqueness is not just in
so
the
it'll be like an injection,
but also in the technology that's involved in
will it be like an injection?
Sorry?
Will it be like an injection?
No, it will be a transdermal patch, a patch that you put into
okay, like opioids, like fentanyl.
Sorry?
Like fentanyl or even nicotine for that matter.
Yes, it's similar delivery, yes.
Okay, great. Now, cannabis has the potential to straddle the worlds of modern and traditional medicine. Why has Hemp Street chosen the Ayurvedic route instead of the pharmaceutical one, where protocols are well defined, processes and formulations are standardized, etc.? Is it because of how cannabis is regulated in the country, or you're trying to do a bit of a fusion kind of an approach?
So I say it that we built this company to tackle mass ailments, and the conduit to tackle those mass ailments was cannabis. And the structure of India is actually one of the few federally legal medical cannabis countries in the world. America is not. So as a result, you have to do what.
But the federal law in America is hardly relevant now, right?
To ailments of patients. Yeah.
I was saying the federal law in America is hardly relevant now. I mean, most of the states have legalized it.
Yeah, but that doesn't allow for, I mean, the research bill that was passed recently will help. Now, if you look at the tens of billions of dollars that have gone to North American cannabis, the amount of IP, medical IP that generated is, you can count in the hand, you know, on your fingers, because it has largely been a recreational phenomenon. I would say look at markets like Israel, where they have gone the route of deep research. Now, we have very deep partnerships in Israel, and, you know, they understand polyherbal formulations, they understand Ayurveda. So I think at the end of the day, it's about what works. If it works, then you take it towards the rigorous clinical validation. You cannot discount Ayurveda primarily because of the positioning that it's had over the last many decades. In cannabis in particular, while the whole world scrambles for specific solutions and largely gets stuck on CBD and different degrees of CBD, when you have such a plethora of very specific ailment-based formulations, the smart thing to do would be to take them to the clinical validation process, rather than try to, you know, go the other way out and try to force fit or try to figure out something that hasn't really happened anywhere in the world. Here we have, for once, I would say India could lead the world in terms of formulations if we take them through the clinical validation process.
Okay, and you're doing that. That is a good thing. And just tell us, you know, for the benefit of our viewers, in terms of the kind of ailments that you're targeting for now, the formulations that you have, what kind of chronic ailments do they have a solution for at this moment?
So right now we have I would say our flagship product was aimed at menstrual cramps and dysmenorrhea. It's been working really well. And we also look at hypertension, gut health, and sexual wellness. But I would say our flagship product and the ailment that we really took the fight to was menstrual cramps.
And I read insomnia as well on your website, which is an epidemic in our country, especially
Our flagship product
with our kind of lifestyles
is also quite effective on anxiety, on insomnia, and chronic pain, and also, like I said, menstrual cramps.
Okay, sounds great. Hope you find a lot of success in terms of the kind of validation that you're seeking for your products, the clinical trials and other processes as well in your tie-ups abroad. And we hope to see more of you and hear more about you as well. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that's a wrap as far as this episode of India Ideas is concerned. Do let us know what you think about it. You can find the link on YouTube as well if you search for it with DD in India, of course, in the search box as well. And keep watching DD India for all the latest as well. Thanks for watching for the moment.